Welcome to the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast, where we delve into the powerful benefits of a holistic, high raw vegan lifestyle for achieving optimal health, brain function, and overall well-being. This podcast is not just about personal health. We're also passionate about community development and creating a culture of health through business and collaboration. Join us as we explore the intersection of raw food, holistic health, and community building to empower ourselves and others to live our best lives. I'm your host, Samantha, Salmon, certified integrative nutrition coach and brain health licensed trainer. And today we are talking about the key skills every health coach needs. I've been an integrative nutrition coach since 2015, and I started coaching because I had a brick and mortar, raw, vegan, organic food business that I wanted to offer something more to the community and have a deeper connection with folks and help them transition to not just a transactional thing where folks are buying a juice or doing a cleanse, but actually making lifestyle changes. And became fascinated with the world of coaching and actually was inspired by folks who I was following and seeing doing amazing things. And I'll mention Koya Webb and Jeanette Jenkins. Jeanette Jenkins is not vegan, I don't think, but her and Koya Webb were two women that I was following a lot at the time, really admiring what they were doing in the world, and saw they were both promoting IIN, where I got certified. And I remember specifically talking to Koya on the phone about it, like before I got certified and things like this. And so I ended up going into getting certified. And it's been really an amazing journey because there's so many different things you can do with the certification. I just wanted to understand the business model of coaching and to make sure that I legally protected myself and didn't get in trouble, abided by the rules and all of these kinds of things. But what I learned on the journey in my coaching certification really is what I want to talk to you about today, because it turned out to be not only just beneficial for my business, but also and my career, but also me as a person and my own personal development. So there were three core skills that I learned that are core skills for health coaches. So the first is effective communication, right? Clear, empathetic, motivational communication. We are not beating people over the head to be something that they don't want to be. I nudge and encourage my clients to move in the direction they say they want to go when they step in. If you've ever looked at my testimonial page, there's one client in particular I'm thinking of where his testimonial was like, all this great stuff, even if you won't become a raw vegan after something like this. And it's, no, I am not going to force you to become a raw vegan. I'm not even going to force you to become vegan. You will definitely be eating plants. You would be encouraged to eat plants because there is not one health goal you can come to me with that eating a predominantly or 100% plant-focused diet won't help you with. You know what I'm saying? It's just the nutrition science is just overwhelming on that front. However, coaching is not about forcing people to become something that they don't want to be. You come in to work with a coach because you have a goal and you have been struggling to get there on your own. And so a coach provides the motivation, helps you work through the mental blocks and overcome those challenges because we have so much free information online. You can just pick up a book and do the thing. But some people are buying a whole bunch of books and they're either not reading it, maybe because they don't like to read. There are people like that who just are not into reading. They're too busy. They don't have time to read or whatever. So they do better with visual and audio mediums, right? Then you could say, okay, there's a lot of podcasts. There are a lot of YouTube videos. And would you believe I survey everyone that comes into my Facebook group. And I've had people say, because one of my questions is, there's so much information online. What have you not gotten yet that is preventing you from embracing this diet and lifestyle, that you're looking for? Something like that, something along those lines. And I remember one person saying, I didn't even know that. I'll have to look for them. So they're just new to the whole concept of veganism and plant eating. So anyway, you have folks like that. But whatever it is your goal is, that's what I'm here to do as a coach. And that's what I do as a coach, right? So we have clear, empathetic, motivational communication. We also have active listening. Luckily for me, my name is Samantha, which actually means one who listens. I'm very good at listening. And I also like to point out to family members, not to my clients, but to family members when they're not listening, because I'm good at listening. I also appreciate, probably too, because I listen so much on coaching calls, that I find it really lovely when I'm talking to a family member and they're fully listening to me, right? And when I don't get that, I like to point that out. You are not listening, which sometimes people don't like. But anyway, this is a core skill for a health coach. Being taught this in my coaching certification was really great, because I started to really see listening as such a huge strength, a huge skill, a huge muscle to build. And I started incorporating that more into my personal relationships. And I found that people loved talking to me even more because I listen. People love to talk to people who listen. And it's unfortunate that not too many of us are listening. And because we're so eager to get our own point across. And there was when it comes to familiar, like when you're being paid to do the thing, it's a lot easier. It's whatever, I'm being paid, this is part of the job. But when you bring that skill into a family dynamic, which I find the hardest relationships to deal with is family. Listening, it can be very draining. At the same time, it makes people really love and appreciate you. And so it's worth learning how to be better at it, because it's a huge skill to have. You also pick up on a lot of things, but mind you, it can be exhausting at a certain point, especially if you're an empath and highly sensitive person. That's why we have to practice a lot of self-care as coaches. I encourage a lot of my clients, they are social workers, therapists, first responders. They're in the helping profession. And I super encourage, it's part of my coaching program, self-care, right? And if you are in a position where you're constantly giving and active listening with people, right, where they're putting on you and you're taking it, you're holding space for them, this is an active thing and it's work, okay? It's work, exhausting, it can be draining. So you have to practice a lot of self-care to really fortify yourself to continue to have sustainability, right? You don't want to be drained to the bone where you become a skeleton of yourself and just void of any life or energy or personality, right? Because you have allowed people to just completely drain you. So you need to have a really solid self-care practice, right? This is my friend Lisa Angel Smith, who's the founder of the Plant Protocol. She talks about having obedience, right? And you could follow her to listen to how exactly she says the terminology about being obedient, right? And our interview together at the Thrive Through Food Summit, everything she was saying, what clicked in my head was like, this is like being an athlete, right? And so like when you become a coach, you become a different person, right? You go from whatever you were before to now this person who identifies as a coach, as a health conscious person, as a leader. You embody these practices, right? And your job, like Lisa says, where she talks about being a possibility model, right? Your job is to model what you are looking for your clients to do, right? Because hopefully you have already gone through it yourself before, you have gotten to the other end, and you are helping people do what you've already done. So you're modeling it, right? But with the certification, it goes even deeper. Before I even got certified, I already had an organic, raw vegan eatery. I was already eating this way. I was already promoting eating this way, a lifestyle and all this. But being a coach is even more than that. It's like the embodiment of, and I'm also too, I will say I've even added on to this since 2015 when I got certified, because sometimes you have experiences in life where you come into spaces with folks and you're like, wow, this person has such a magnetic energy, positive vibration. I want what she's having, right? I just love the vibe that is just following her everywhere, right? I want to be that, right? And so for me, I've distilled down what that is, how to have a plan of action for myself, how to build that within myself, and how to help other people do that as well. But it takes a lot of work. I'm not sure that you ever get to the end, because I know people who they seem like that to us, they're already there. If you put them in certain situations that are like their triggers, their pressure cooker situations, you will see probably a different side of them, right? And to me, my journey is, even when I'm with those triggering people, triggering situations, how do I stay steady in peace embodiment and vibrate at a high level, positivity, like beyond, right? And so I'm also on that journey too. But like I said, there's been things added on. So with a coach, we come in, and this is the third core skill, is empathy, right? So we come in empathetic, holding space, active listening, and building trust. Empathy is where you can put yourself in someone else's shoes. You can stand next to them and move forward, because even if you, like, I could have a mother, which I've coached mothers, and there's one that I'm thinking of in particular who had 4 young kids, was breastfeeding, working a job where she was doing like gig work and trying to embody healthy eating so that her kids could do it. And she was in a worse situation than her kids, right? But she was focused on her kids. This is what I noticed working with mothers, is that everything is about the other people, most likely the kids or the husband or whatever. It's about other people. It's never about them, right? They don't think about them. It's other people outside of them, usually their kids, sometimes their spouse, right? And for me, from the outside on paper, I have nothing in common with this person, but actually, because my empathy muscle is so great and I practice it a lot through my business, I can sit and step inside her shoes and try her lifestyle on. What would I do? How would I be? How would I be thinking? How would I be feeling? What would I be doing in her shoes, in her situation? Giving what I know right now, right, that she probably doesn't know, what I know, but her situation. That's how I'm able to like stand next to someone and guide them through. That's the empathy piece, right? So those are the core skills. And honestly, the effective communication, the active listening, the empathy has also helped me in my personal relationships. So I find what you'll find, this whole theme for this whole episode is like doing a health coaching certification. Even though I went in the beginning just to understand the business model of coaching, it became a personal development for me that has impacted my life, not just my business, but my life. The other skill, of course, is the technical professional side. Of course, you have to know nutrition knowledge. You have to have coaching techniques, right? How do you get someone to change their behavior? You cannot force someone to change, right? But you can nudge someone forward. You can set up techniques, behavior loops. Really, that's basically what I look at, habit loops and different things, like how are people doing the thing? Why do they do what they do? And working around the way their brain works, the way their lifestyle works to help them reach the goal they said they want. So they have to be motivated, right? No one signs up for coaching and spends all this money and doesn't want to change, except some people who they find out what it's all about. They find out that they actually have to do something, that someone can't really step inside their bodies and make the change for them, can't just go abracadabra on their mind and make them a different person. And they drop the money and be like, you know what, I'm done, But those folks are few and far between. They tend to be the privileged who can do that, and they're not ready to do the work. And thankfully now, because I've had those experiences, I have systems in place to avoid that. Because while it's great to get money without doing work, it's a waste of time. I would rather work with people who want to get healthier, right? So I help folks release excess fat and reverse type 2 diabetes. I'm really passionate about this. I am trying to close health gaps, the racial health gaps, and achieve my mission in my business, which is to eradicate type 2 diabetes in this country. It is a unnecessary disease. It's a lifestyle disease that is completely preventable and reversible. So we actually don't need to have it. And if I'm spending time with someone who's not interested in change, even though they have the money to spend and they're spending it, it doesn't really help me achieve the mission that I'm looking to work towards, right? And time is valuable. If you honor your time, you just want to make sure you're working with the right people. But yes, you will get those people sometimes. They are few and far between. Sometimes they show up. But if you have the right guardrails in place in your business, you find out how they slipped in, and then you put up some measures so they don't get in again, so you don't have to deal with that again. Because change is hard, right? It's hard regardless of how motivated you are. Change is hard. You have to have commitment on some level. You have to know why you're doing the thing. When I went vegan in the beginning, was it hard? Initially, I had a situation. So logically, everything made sense to me. I read books that definitely said, yes, this is the way to go. But there was a situation with this woman that I won't go into detail right now. I've only shared it with, a few people. But this situation, this conversation was so triggering to me that I was like, you know what? I am done with meat. And I wasn't that big of a fan of dairy, with the exception of mozzarella on pizza and stuff like that. So I was vegetarian for 2 weeks before going vegan. But going vegan, I had my last ceremonial meal. And I eat really slow, but I ate even slower that time for this meal because it was something that I really enjoyed, that I had a lot, that I just really liked to eat. And I made a point of taking my time because I knew it would be the last time. I was committed. And for me, I guess a motivation that has always shown up in my life, and this is where self-awareness comes into play. I've learned that you can be in your 50s and 60s and still not have a lot of self-awareness. You haven't really sat down and had a come to Jesus with yourself and really reflected. I think some people just have been so busy, especially with mothering and grandmothering and work and everything. They just haven't really reflected on their own actions, what made them take XYZ road to get to ABC. You know what I'm saying? Like, they haven't really done that self-reflection. And I am very, that's just my nature, right? To do that. And I think that's probably had exponential growth ever since I got certified, because I encourage a lot my clients to journal and things of that nature. But like, I am motivated by shame, and there was an element of shame in that triggering conversation where I knew this meal was going to be my last. I would never go back because it became a shameful thing. Not only was it unhealthy, but then it became shameful to eat meat. And when you have strong enough motivators, you change. Finding out what those things are is really what we go through in coaching, right? In our journaling, in our self-reflection. With the professional skills, other than the nutrition knowledge and the coaching, of course, you need business acumen. And if you are interested in becoming a certified coach, definitely I highly recommend signing up for the Plant Protocol, because all of this is in the curriculum. You get support with all of this. Now, on top of that, you have to have personal and interpersonal skills. And I know you may feel like you don't have those skills. I, on paper, would have never said, oh, I have personal and interpersonal skills, because I have never been a social butterfly. However, I do resonate with people where we have a shared passion, right? LA, I have a lot of friends in LA because I connected with folks who are passionate about health and plant-based nutrition and getting healthy foods in our communities and things like this. And so understanding that about myself, it's really easy for myself to connect with other people because I find those points of connection that I'm really passionate about and that other people are interested in as well. And you learn this as you go. You don't become a good coach without practice, without doing the thing. It's the same thing like with a brick and mortar business. People want to know, how do I start a business? You just, first of all, you start the business. You start, and then you learn, right? Even if that business fails, quote unquote fails, you learned what worked, what didn't work, how you work with other people. There's so many learnings in it that it's hard for any so-called failure to even be considered a failure. Every time we do a thing, any project, any initiative, we are learning from that whole process. So you learn as you go. But definitely when it comes to coaching, you want to make sure you get certified so you stay legally in compliance and you don't step out of your scope of practice. That can be a really scary thing. You don't want to get in trouble. And you just want to make sure you follow the rules. And to know what those rules are, you definitely want to make sure you become certified. So yeah, for the personal, interpersonal skills, there's patience, adaptability. People don't change overnight. There's a lot of problem solving, and of course the self-care. I find that a lot with my clients, they like to beat themselves up. Some people, they like to beat themselves up where I wasn't perfect and like the whole week or the whole 2 weeks was just horrible because I wasn't perfect or whatever. And life is not about perfection. We are constantly growing and learning about ourselves. So when you're in a coaching container, right, you learn things about yourself. Right. And so I had never worked with a coach before becoming a coach. But after becoming a coach, then I was working with like business coaches and stuff like that. I've paid a couple health coaches for three health coaches, 2 fitness related, actually 4 now that I think about it. 3 fitness related and 1 like health related around hormones and stuff. And I learned a lot because at that point I had already been coaching for a while, and I learned a lot about how different people work, their onboarding and stuff like that. And actually felt really good about myself in the process because I feel like all my systems are just so streamlined and really professional and give a great first impression. But doing that, Russell Brunson, he's one of the folks that has really helped me in my business journey. He talks about funnel hacking, right? And with funnel hacking, you actually pay to get into people's funnels, which is a marketing term, and learn how they are running the marketing end of their business by actually becoming a paying client. So you experience it firsthand. It's just like having a brick and mortar. If you're going to open a restaurant, you go to restaurants, right? You look at restaurants you like, or even just restaurants in the neighborhood. What are they doing right? What are they not doing right? Where would you come in and do something better? You're basically scoping out what the environment looks like so you could come up with your unique selling proposition. Why would people come to you versus all these other businesses or whatnot? And having that experience of being coached also, you learn a lot about yourself, and then you see the value of what coaching has to offer. And just going through the certification myself, in the certification program I went through, I had to coach folks before I became certified, like my peers, as practice. And they also were coaching me so that they could get their practice. And the whole process, so technically because of the certification, I did get coached. You learn a lot about yourself. It's all about self-discovery. It's a personal development journey through the lens of health, because there's really no separation. Like this body is the only vehicle we have to go through this life. This is the only vehicle we have. And so we have to protect it so we can continue to live this life in comfort for as long as possible to fulfill on the mission that God has sent us here to fulfill. And so that's what this whole journey is about. With that, as a health coach, we have lifelong learning, which is not a problem, because I notice with my health coaching friends, we love to learn. We love to read. We love the new things coming out. We try and experiment a lot for ourselves, for our clients. This is like the fun part of the whole thing, to be honest. Like for me, I just love, Dr. Greger's How Not to Age book just came out, and I am just like, I want to just stop everything and just read his book. That's all I want to do. Unfortunately, we do have to work, but continuing ed is the fun part of the whole thing. You want to stay up to date on your specialty, which is, for me, just part of the fun of it. I specialize in weight loss and type 2 diabetes, and weight loss in particular, fat loss, I find fascinating because it's something that we're always working on, right? You figure out how to manage it for yourself, but it's always being managed because, for the most part, because we're living in such a toxic environment, right? There's so many things set up in our environment for us to get into overweight and obesity. It's like a slippery slope all the time. And so there are all of these techniques and tools to keep the guardrails around you, but it's always a management. It's always, coaching yourself, especially if you have food addictions. You have the memory of how highly hyper palatable foods used to feel, taste, the feeling it gave to you, right? That kind of stuff kind of sticks to your cellular memories. It's a journey for most of us, like a lifelong thing, to always just be conscious that we have to stay within these parameters. Anyway, I just find it really fascinating, my work and what I specialize in. But yeah, ultimately, these are the key skills that every coach needs to have. And I shared a little bit about how it's impacted me. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to be a coach. It's amazing to be a coach at this time, because there's a lot of work to be done. The work that we're doing is so needed. I think even beyond the physical health stuff, in terms of below the neck, there's the mental health. Folks need someone to talk to about stuff that folks near them in their personal environment cannot manage, or they're giving horrible information, and people know they're giving horrible information. They're not models of the thing that they're looking to achieve. And you being out there, being an example for people to follow, is really an amazing privilege, honestly. It's fun, and it gives me a lot of energy. It wakes me up in the morning. I'm super passionate about it. And if coaching is something you're looking into, then I highly recommend the plant protocol, because first of all, you want to make sure you're set up for success. Passion is great, but you also need to have the business understanding. You want to protect yourself legally, make sure you stay inside your scope of practice, and also make sure you know what you're doing so you're not wasting your money. You can waste a lot of money and a lot of time just out there willy-nilly calling yourself a coach. I don't recommend that. I recommend going about it the right way. And so for folks who actually go about it the right way and enroll in the plant protocol, I am offering 2 months of mentorship for when you mention my name at enrollment, because I am in alignment with the vision and mission of the plant protocol, which is to close the racial health gaps in this country, right? And we're motivating and encouraging more coaches of color to step up into leadership and to go out there and be these possibility models for people, because we need that. So I personally have an experience with losing excess fat with raw vegan foods, right? When veganism had me gaining weight, even though it's the healthier way to eat, it had me gaining weight, and raw foods had me come back to my natural weight. So I help folks with that. This is the tool that's helped me. Also, intermittent fasting has helped me when I've ate more cooked foods. And if you're someone who just loves to eat all the time and the kitchen is never closed type of thing, intermittent fasting I find is really an awesome tool. And so I help people with that. But there's so many people dealing with a ton of stuff. One of them I'm noticing now too a lot with, at least with my clients, is overwork, working so many jobs and having that being a wall or challenge as to why they're not able to do all the things that's necessary to live a healthy life. And so there's a lot of mindset work involved with that too. Like, why Do we need all these jobs? Are there changes we could make, maybe look at? These are not easy decisions to make at all, right? And that's why understanding your scope of practice is so important, because you don't make decisions for your clients. You help them make their own decisions. And understanding that distinction is super important. Anyway, until next time, have yourself a blessed day.